Walk with me. Proximity is power. That principle has been on my mind a lot recently. Proximity is power. I'm just coming off a string of just awesome events, awesome experiences, amazing environments of proximity, which is why this concept of proximity having power over us and everything we do is so top of mind right now. Was out in Cancun last weekend, actually right outside Cancun, Playa del Carmen, if you know the area in Mexico. Staying at the Escaret. I can't even call it a property. Mecca? Side note, Cancun, always a special place, was actually the first place I ever went outside the United States. My parents took Karis and I, yes, we were together when we were 19 on our first international family vacation. Man, a long time ago, over 20 years ago, to Cancun. Actually went to the Escaret property back then. Then it was just one park. Now when I say it's a Mecca, 5 just amazing, beautiful mega resorts, 8 different, you can't even call them theme parks. What they do there, integrating experiences into the natural geography and natural phenomenon, is altogether unlike any resort I've seen in the world. I've been blessed to go to a lot of cool places and nothing like this. And we were out there with over 200 from our community from over a dozen countries. And just the energy created from the community, from the proximity, is just so undeniable. And not just something I felt, something I've just heard radiate from people that were with us over the last week or so. So when I say proximity is power, I want to unpack that a little bit, what that means, why it's important, and why I think it has the influence that it does over us. Really 3 thoughts it provides just naturally when you're in proximity, and a couple thoughts on what we can do to create these environments consciously in our lives now, no matter who you are, where you are, or what path or journey you're on right now. So before we get into all of that, I'm going to ask, who's by my side today? Been a minute since we were together. Why? Because I've been traveling. I haven't been home like the month of August. It's been crazy, awesome, but crazy. So it's been a minute since we were together. If you're part of the crew, I see you. I love our time together. Say where you're from below. Drop a flag emoji, a city, a state, a country. If you're new to the crew, welcome. We walk together live, usually weekly, usually around the same day, same time. And we share inspired thoughts, inspired conversation. And the only thing I ask is that you participate. It's not a monologue. But the beautiful thing is no matter where we are, when we're watching this or what we're doing, we can collaborate and participate in the comments, share ideas, feedback, thoughts. I read all of them. I appreciate them. And that's just a way to contribute. If you get value, you add value back to myself and those by our side globally. And if you do get inspired, we have a lot of awesome past conversations. They're archived on the podcast, Alive by Design, all the places podcasts are. Proximity is what? Power. So let's talk about this. This is a real thing. Like, it's not just a catchy saying. It's not just something I've been posting on my Instagram stories because it sounds cool. Like, it's a real thing. Like, proximity around the right group of individuals has an insane amount of power, of electricity, of energy, of influence over so much of who we are and what we do. It's real. It's undeniable. And every one of you have felt it, can feel it, and we should consciously, intentionally create more of it. And When I say proximity, what I mean is getting around not just people, but like-minded, positive, inspired individuals. And don't get me wrong, when I say proximity is power, if you're around the opposite of that, it's still true. It'll still have power over you. It's just not the right power. Push you in a, nudge you in a, shove you in a negative direction. But when you're around like-minded people that share similar interests, similar beliefs, similar desires, positive people that tend to think about or look for the positive in any situation, and inspired is a feeling, right? It's a choice. People that are just lit up, on fire for life, excited, enthusiastic, all that's going to have a positive power right over you. So when I say proximity is power, I'm talking about proximity of people, and specifically choosing those people. And there's no doubt it has an influence over us. It's pretty common sense to say, hey, we've all heard you become like those you surround yourself with. What's the old cliche? Tell me the 5 people you spend the most time with. I'll show you your future. Take the average income of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's probably close to yours. Take the average health. Take the average happiness. It's amazing how much that equation applies to. Man, I'm out of breath. Here's a view from the top. Hot, sunny day here in beautiful Southern California. I'm gonna sit on a rock. So, we know it has influence over us. The question is why? And what do we get out of proximity? And I have 3 thoughts. Just this being fresh on my mind, coming off not only the Cancun experience, but as most of you know, I've spent my entire adult life, my whole career, building communities. So by definition, creating communities where people participate and get the benefit of proximity. So I understand the group dynamics, the individual dynamics, the community dynamics, having just been a part of it, having been a student of it, having been a creator, right, of it for over 2 decades. And in all of that, I always find a couple things to be true. When we are in proximity, one of the first things it does for us, one of the first powers it gives us, is it expands our paradigm of what's possible. I want you to repeat that to yourself. It expands my paradigm of what's possible. And not only what's possible like in life, but like what's possible for you, right? For each and every one of us as individuals. And you guys, I think that's such an important thing for us to always be intentionally doing, always be seeking environments that expand our own paradigm of what's possible for us, of what we can do, of what we can achieve, of how far we can go, of the life that we can live, of the potential that we can unlock. Side note, I firmly believe like part of the purpose of life is to move toward the potential we all have. I mean, we were all given a set of gifts. We were all put here for a reason. We were all on some sort of journey to somewhere. And the end of that for all of us, in my opinion, is our potential. Now, what that is and where that goes is different for each and every one of us, which is what makes life awesome. We're all on our own individual path, but we all have our own potential. So we should consciously always be trying to expand our own paradigm of what's possible, of what that potential can mean for us. And proximity does that through conversation. When you meet other individuals that have done things you want to do or achieved certain feats or had certain accomplishments and you get a chance to hear how they did it, it starts to become more real for you. And even more so than the how, right? Than the tactics or the steps or the strategies, which, don't misunderstand me, are all important. They can give you the shortcut, right? Why reinvent something that's already been invented? Why try to figure out something that's already been figured out? just about everything we want to do, someone on this planet has already done. If we find what they did, we do what they did, we'll get what they got. All this stuff, guys, is smart. But even deeper than the how-to is you realize that the person behind it is just a person just like you. And you guys, sometimes that's the most powerful expansion of what's possible, is not just getting clarity in the how, but seeing other people that are no different, that have done it, which makes it more real for us. You know, it's so easy to put people on a pedestal these days in a world of social media and personal branding, where we're able to influence other people's perception of who we are and how great we are by what we put out into the world. It's so easy to idolize or put people on a pedestal or think people are superhuman in some way. But when you get behind the Instagram feed, you know, behind the TikTok, and you have conversations, you realize it doesn't matter who you're thinking about. They're just people. And what one can do, others can do. What they can do, you can do. And when you're in proximity and you get in these conversations and you realize not only how they do it, but that they're just like you and they did it, it expands our own paradigm of what's possible for us. Which I think is a huge power in proximity. You don't get if you're not in proximity. You're stuck in your box with your own lid, with your own limits, if you're not expanding your own paradigm of what's possible. Man, how sad would it be to live a life, right, with such a low lid that we never raise because we don't create proximity that expands our own paradigm. Proximity is power. It happens in these environments. So I think the first thing is that it expands our paradigm of what's possible. I think the second thing that naturally happens in proximity with others, the dynamics of community, is it naturally gives us different perspectives. You see, another amazing thing about us as individuals is although we think everybody is like us, eventually we learn that people are not like us. Matter of fact, there's only one of us. We're the only ones that have the collection of experiences and references and our own viewpoint of the world. And yes, there's crossover with many people, and that's what like interests are, but everyone has their own unique set of experiences that craft how we perceive things. And you guys, those different perspectives is power. Because if you're willing to approach any conversation, any obstacle, any opportunity, any challenge, any situation you're in, and you're willing to really listen and hear, you'll get alternative perspectives that you never would have thought of on your own. And you guys, there's power in being able to understand and see things from different vantage points, from all points of view. There's power in different perspectives. Matter of fact, the more perspectives you can put in a direction, the more whole or more complete or more comprehensive the overall perspective is. Just your perspective, man, is that myopic. Man, is that one-dimensional. You guys, and you know this. This is why we collaborate. This is why we work in teams in our work or career or jobs or what we do. This is why we get feedback, right? This is why we go to friends and family when we need help solving problems. We seek different perspectives. It's a power of proximity. The power of proximity is being able to get different perspectives on the path that you're on. And if you're in those environments, man, you might be in a certain crossroads. Do I go left? Do I go right? And you don't know. And the power of other people's perspective pushes you that right direction. You might have something you're trying to solve right now, and you've been ruminating and stuck, right? Trying to figure it out. Stuck in your box, and boom, power of proximity, different perspectives create that inspiration to move you in a direction. How often does this happen? But this only comes from proximity. You know, so often it's so funny, we make things hard on ourselves trying to do it all by ourselves. And all you got to realize is the answer is already there. It's just somewhere else. And all you got to do is get out of your own way, start asking, and you'll find you have all of the relationships and all of the ability to get the solutions you need right now. But you got to have proximity. So different perspectives is a power of proximity. I'll give you one more, all right? One more. So we've talked about proximity as expanding our own paradigm of what's possible. It's getting different perspectives, right, to approach the situation that we're in or the situations that we will, right, uncover. And lastly, the power of proximity is it gives you an energy. I don't know how else to describe it, as it gives you an energy. When you are around the right group of people, it recharges your battery. It recharges your battery. It gives you an energy. It gives you an inspiration. Whatever term you want to use to describe the feeling is the same, and that feeling is undeniable. And you guys, I know that there's a part of us out there that are extroverted, and there's a part of us out there that are introverted. And introverts, I am like you. For those of you guys that know me, you know by nature I'm an introvert. Don't misunderstand the definitions and misconceptions, guys. Extrovert and introvert has nothing to do with whether you like people, right? I love people. We all like people. I love being around people. I love being in community. It's what I've chosen to do with my life. But the definition is how you recharge. Extroverts, by definition, recharge, or they get energy by surrounding themselves with people, where introverts, when they surround themselves with people, they need at some point to go recharge alone. Right? Introverts recharge in solitude, in personal time. And there's nothing right or wrong. There's nothing good or bad. That there's nothing that's better or worse. It's just the way that it is, right? When it comes to a recharge. But here's my point. It doesn't matter, introverts. Being around proximity still inspires. It still gives us energy. It still fuels you up. Even if at the end of a long day or a long weekend, you gotta go stare at a wall, or walk on the beach, or go for a hike, or go for a workout, or put your earbuds in and listen to that song, right? We know how it is. You might need to take the alone time to fill back up, but the proximity still gives you a charge that you would never have got. Extroverts, you got it double. It gives you the charge and it gives you the charge. But for all of us, it gives an energy. And you need that. So guys, I'm sure the list can continue. Matter of fact, if you have an opinion of what else proximity is power, right, does for us, right, and to and through us, put it in the comments below. But I know in every situation, in the right environment, those three things seem to be true. It expands your paradigm of what's possible. It gives you alternative perspectives to move forward, and it recharges your battery. Every night we got to plug our phone in. Why? Because if we don't in the morning, the thing is dead and it's not going to work the way that we want. We are the same, right? We have to plug our battery in. Otherwise, they're going to be running on red, running on low, running on burnout, and not our best self. And proximity is a way to plug in. It's a supercharger for our body, our mind, our energy, our life. And the list can go on. So with all that being said, what do we do about it, right? You guys, I think the actions are super simple and pretty obvious, right? First is we realize and admit that proximity is power. So I think it starts with a decision, right? A consciousness and awareness that proximity is power, not just a saying, a real thing. And therefore, number two, if we realize that it is power, number two is, well, we got to consciously put ourselves in proximity of the right people. Meaning, you got to find people that are like-minded, that are positive, that are uplifting, that challenge you, that charge you, that push you, that challenge you, that expand you, that are inspired and not the opposite. You guys, proximity has power for better or worse. Proximity will have power pushing you forward or holding you back. Proximity always has power, which means we got to choose the people we're allowing to have that power with and through us. And you can find that everywhere. It's why I love community-based marketing. Why have I done community-based marketing for 22 years now? Because it combines things I love. It combines entrepreneurship and innovation with business and career, with community, with growth. All of that in one thing. It's why I love what I do. It's why community-based marketing is a great tool. It's community, right, of like minds moving into some direction. But community comes not just in business, right? A lot of people find church organizations or spiritual organizations for that proximity of like minds. Some people reach out and find networking groups in the local area, go to different social functions, right? You can plug in for proximity. I mean, there's so much going on. For some of you, it's just your social circle that you've identified that is that for you. You can find it everywhere, but we got to consciously choose it. So many people get stuck in their given circle. Do you know what I mean by their given circle? We're stuck with the relationships that were given to us. There's a lot of relationships that are given to us, not by choice, right? Our family's given to us. A lot of times the people we end up having the deepest relationships with are people that we got stuck to sitting next to school, or rooming in the dorms, or neighbors that we live by, or people that we sit next to at work. Stuff that Just because they were given to us in proximity, they become our social circle. And you guys, there's nothing wrong with our given circle. Just recognize it's a given circle. And if it's given, that means you didn't choose it. Now, I recommend choosing an inner circle and an outer circle. An inner circle, choosing consciously people you want to surround yourself with in physical proximity frequently. An inner circle, and surrounding yourself maybe less physical proximity, but more remote, right? Or every once in a while proximity you can do through social media or mentorship or events, right? But through content today, you can have an outer circle that's almost just as powerful as your inner circle. But the point is both of those are chosen, not just your given circle. And that's what I mean by choosing the people you want to surround yourself with. You got to be conscious of that. Got to be conscious of that. Sounds obvious, but if I were to pull your life over the last week, the last month, this year to date, of everybody you've been in touch with, and I were to rank it right now by the percentage of time of who you'd be with, who's that top 5? Who's that top 10? And is it what you're looking for? Interesting exercise. Knowing and doing are different things. So we got to admit it. We got to choose it. And then lastly, guys, we got to intentionally do it. And now more than ever, we got to intentionally pursue that proximity, right? We've been in an environment for years now where number one, proximity was actually restricted for a period of time. And even as proximity is coming back, there's apprehension and red tape and unease. And we're out of practice. Been sitting at home in isolation behind computers and screens. We're out of practice of proximity. Sounds funny, but it's true. We've also become incredibly efficient in a virtual world. We've learned we can deliver information and education through virtual. Matter of fact, it's probably more efficient. Like, why would I spend, time traveling somewhere when I can get it through a Zoom and save the trip? Why would I watch 4 hours, right, when I can get something in a 30-minute video? We've become more adept, right? I'm an influence over that as well. And in everything that we do, we're consolidating information, getting more efficient. Man, on my hikes here, I used to listen to full audiobooks. Then I went to podcasts. Now I find myself scrolling through inspirational TikToks. Man, we can get our information digitally efficiently, right? And all that stuff is great to fill the brain, but guys, it doesn't fill the heart. Proximity, connection, community is an energy that can't be transferred to the same level in a virtual world, which means we have to consciously, intentionally get out from behind our screen, get out of the virtual world, and go choose it and create it, which sounds funny because we never have been in this place in human history where you got to purposefully create proximity in so many ways. We got to get back in practice. You got to choose it, you got to do it, and you need it for the reasons that we talked about here. I'll give you one more view from the top. So guys, that's what I mean when I say proximity is power. It's been on my mind. You can tell I'm lit up, and I want you guys to feel the same. And the cool thing is, it's easy to do. Hopefully this conversation inspired you as to why it's important and nudges you in a direction to take the steps to do it and create it and find that circle or circles in your life. And don't wait for next week. Do it now, right? Go reach out and do it now. Create that perspective, expand that paradigm, give yourself that energy to move right toward a better you, right? To move toward your potential you're meant to. Hey, if you guys got value from today, let me know below. If you got thoughts on the topic, please comment. I read all of them. For those of you guys that are subscribed to the podcast, I see you, I appreciate you. I love the reviews. They are so important to myself and the community. I read all of them. So hey, drop by alivebydesign.com on Apple, Spotify, leave some reviews, leave some stars. That means so much. Catch up on past conversations. For those of you guys new to the crew, there's some good ones out there. Until the next time we walk together, here's to creating proximity in your life that has the power, right, to move you to your meant to. Take care, everybody.